everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is gonna be a something different type of vlog. I am gonna be talking about something that I live and went through in my past, something that I put my children through, with it being the month of October. And month of October does have two different meanings. The month of October, it is awareness for cancer, which is the pink. And the month of October is awareness for domestic violence, which is purple. And my thing for this video is about domestic violence. I am a survivor of domestic violence, and my children are survivors from domestic violence as well. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my past, a little bit about my story of domestic violence when I was married to my ex-husband, what I lived and what I've been through. I'm going to use this to put awareness on domestic violence and to see if I'm able to help out and touch other people that are going through the situation, that feel like they're not able to get out of the relationship and feel like they cannot find help. So let's go ahead and start my story. So keep on watching, and I hope you guys like this vlog. Welcome back, everyone. So let me tell you guys, I was married, well, I was with my children's dad for 10 years, a little bit, maybe 11 years. And, you know, we had a rough marriage or relationship, not marriage because we were not married. But, well, basically we were, because we lived together and we have 4 kids. But he wasn't my abuser. Let's just get that clear. He wasn't my abuser. He wasn't the person that did anything to me. But we did have our problems. We did have our issues, and unfortunately it didn't work out. So when Giselle was 5 months old, I finally decided to leave my baby daddy. So I left him, and I moved back into my mom and my dad's house. And once I moved into my parents, I was working. I got my job. I was trying to get back on my feet. And, you know, I was going out with my friends and everything. And then one day I went to the grocery store and I ran into an ex-boyfriend of mine from high school. I used to date this guy back in high school, and we ran into each other. And, when we ran into each other, we exchanged numbers, blah, 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 this and this and that. We started talking. We started dating. Maybe I got my own apartment. I moved in with my kids. We were already like 6 months into our relationship. I didn't want to introduce him to my children yet. You know, I was still going through the breakup with baby daddy and all that stuff. So finally, after 8 months into a relationship, I brought him around. He met my kids. Giselle was like 3 years old. So Alvin and Junior were like 7 and 8, maybe. Ulises was like 4, around there. Or maybe a little bit younger. But something like that. And, then I brought him around the kids. He was really amazing. He was helping me out, you know, paying bills, buying groceries, buying the kids food. You know, he was an amazing boyfriend. And at the time when we started dating, people were telling me, be careful with him. Just watch it, because he's an abuser, that he likes to hit, that he used to beat up his baby mama, that he used to hit her. And he used to do all this stuff. And I'm like, you guys are all crazy. That's not him. He's not like that. He's an amazing boyfriend. He's an amazing partner. He's amazing everything. Like, you guys are all crazy. Like, that's not who he is. And all this stuff, right? So I remember this from the back of my hand, my head, whatever, however you gotta call it. In the morning, I went and dropped off Alvin, Ulises, and Junior at my mom's. Giselle was asleep, and he was home. So I went and dropped off the kids at my mom's so they could get the bus for school. I think Ulises was in kindergarten. Alvin was like a second grader, and Junior was a third grader. So I went to the grocery store. I went and bought stuff that I was going to make for dinner and get all that stuff going. And then I come home and I put everything in the kitchen and I was getting everything organized. And then I walk into my room and he jumps up from the bed and he started yelling at me and started telling me off and telling me like, the F, where you go, why you take so long. And I'm looking at him because I've never seen this side of him. So I'm looking at him and I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? I'm like, why are you so mad? He's like, why you fucking take forever for? And this and that. And I'm like, because I went to the store to go get stuff. And then Giselle woke up. And so I just ignored him. And I was like, okay, minor fight. Nothing big about it. I picked up Giselle. And I grabbed her, walked to the living room. And he jumps up and follows me. And I set Giselle on the couch. Me and him started arguing. And the next thing you know, I got punched in the face. And he knocked me out. So when I finally woke up, first thing that I looked for was my daughter. I jumped up, went and grabbed her. I was crying. And I looked at him. I'm like, what the hell were you doing? Like, why did you hit me? Like, what the fuck? And he was like, nah, because you took forever. You were with some guy and this and that. And I'm like, I was not with no some guy. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I was grabbing my keys to leave the house. And he ran after me. And he grabbed me by my hair and pulled me back into the house. And he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. You know, I love you. And all this stuff, right? And I believed him. And then I had a black eye. And I had covered it up with makeup. And I was actually getting close to 4th of July weekend. So it was like a couple of days before 4th of July. And then I covered it up. And his family, we went to, that weekend was 4th of July. I still had kind of a black eye. I had covered it up with makeup and put black eyeshadow so you couldn't even tell. It looked like ice or whatever. And his family's like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you so quiet? Why are you not talkative? Why this and that? I had my head down. I couldn't move. Like, I couldn't look around. This is the beginning. We were barely a year maybe into our relationship already. And stuff. So, cut everything short. Let me get to the beginning. So, we're already into a year in a relationship. He gave me my first black eye. I believed him. He sweet-talked me and everything. And it started going from the black eye to the point that he was controlling my move. Back then, I had an Android. He went and bought me an iPhone, and on the iPhone, he set up the location so he could know where every movement I did, where I was at, every second, everything. So, you know what? Take that back. Let me rephrase this. At the time that I met him, I was actually going to cosmetology. So I was going to beauty school. And I was going to school at night. So the kids would go to my mom's house and I would go to school at nighttime. And at that point, when I was going to school at nighttime, I would get out of school and he would be parked in the parking lot to see who I'm coming out of school with, to see who I'm talking to, everything. And I was like, I didn't know he was doing that. And then one day out of school, I was walking out with my classmates, right? So it was like a bunch of girls and there was like 2 guys, I believe, which they were gay. They were not even straight guys, they were gay. But he saw that the 2 guys were with me and I hopped in my car. I went and picked up the kids from my mom's. And then I went home, and he was already home. He beat me because I had to still go pick up the kids from my mom's. And I got home, and he was waiting for me, and I like opened the door, got the kids into bed and everything. And Chino was living with me at that time. He moved in with me, so he was living with me. And I go into my room getting ready to get changed, and he like comes out of the bathroom, because I had a bathroom in my room. So he comes out of the bathroom, and he started yelling at me. He started cussing at me. He's like, who the fuck was that guy? And blah, blah. I'm like, what are you talking about? What guy? He goes, I saw you when you walked out of school, and there was 2 guys with you and a bunch of girls. And I'm like, those 2 guys, yes, they're my classmates. And he goes, oh, I bet you anything you're sleeping with them. I'm like, no, I'm not sleeping with them. They don't like women. They like guys. They're into guys. And so we're arguing back and forth. And then I walked out of the room because I didn't want to argue no more. And as I walked out of the room, he grabbed me by the hair, and he fucking pulled me, and he threw me on the bed. And then when he threw me on the bed, he sat on top of me, and he started like just like going like this and telling me off and everything. And then finally I like let go from him, and I was like, dude, I'm not gonna fucking argue with you. And I walked out of the room, and I went to the kitchen, and then he followed me into the kitchen, and he started pushing me and shoving me in the kitchen. And I was like trying to be quiet because the kids were asleep, and I didn't want them to wake up. And the next thing you know, he punched me again. He fucking hit me again. And he was just hitting me. And I'm like crying, and I'm crying, and I fall onto the floor, and I'm like in the corner, and I'm just telling him, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. I'm like, what the fuck? And he was just yelling at me and telling me off and everything. And I'm trying to be as quiet as I can because I didn't want my kids to get up. I didn't want my nephew to get up and, you know, see things or anything. And then finally he like went to the room, and I just stood in the kitchen, and I actually finally got up. I walked into my room, and I just went to lay down, and he goes and tries to hug me, and he's like, I'm sorry. Why you get me mad for? If you wouldn't be getting me mad, I wouldn't be doing this to you. That I fucking love you. Like, and I'm like, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I go, I don't want to talk. And then he's like, well, I'm in the mood. And I'm like, I'm not in the mood. Just leave me alone. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. And he's like, why? He goes, why are you in the mood? He goes, what, you already with someone else? You already being with someone else? And I'm like, no, I haven't been with anybody. I'm not sleeping around. I'm not doing that. He goes, then he forced himself on top of me. And he raped me because I told him no. I told him I didn't want to have relationships with him. And he forced me to do it. So I was just laying on my bed crying until finally he got off. And I cried myself to sleep that night. I woke up the next day. He was like, I'm sorry. You know, I love you. I didn't mean to do this to you. You mean the world to me. So finally, the day went on. And time passed. We had arguments here and there. We moved out of that apartment, and we got a house. We rented a house. And one day he comes home with an engagement ring, and he proposed to me. He said he wants to marry me. He wanted me to be his wife and everything. And I told him that I wasn't ready for marriage. I didn't want to marry. And he went crazy on me. He's like, what the fuck? Like, why don't you want to marry me? And all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, see, that's the whole reason why. That's why I don't want to marry you, because of the way you're acting, the way you are with me. And he didn't hit me that day. He was just really upset and really mad. So I laid down and went to, it was like late afternoon. So I went to sleep. I took a nap. The kids were with their dad. It was his weekend. And later on that day, I woke up. He was gone. But on my mirror with my lipstick, he wrote on there, I love you. And I want you to be my wife. And will you marry me? And then there was a dozen of flowers, roses. And then the engagement ring on the countertop. And when I got up, I went to the kitchen. And actually on the table, he had my plate of food there. And he made dinner for the both of us. But he had left because I was asleep. And I'm like, oh, he does love me. Oh, he does care for me. He made me dinner, something he never does. So when he got home, I had the ring on my finger. And I told him, yes, I'll marry you. Like, oh, like you do care for me. You do love me. Okay, so that happened. And the abuse got worse. It got worse. And this is already almost 2 years into our relationship. It went from hitting me every couple of months to hitting me almost every day. And it started getting worse to the point where it wasn't just with his hand anymore. It was with objects. So hey everyone. So just to brief thing real quick, there's going to be a part 2. This is just a little bit of my life of a domestic violence. And it's so long and there's so much that was going on within those 3 years. So I have to do a part 2. Then I said that Giselle was 3 or 4 years old. Actually, she wasn't. She was like a year old. And the boys were like younger and stuff. And down below, I am going to put the information of domestic violence hotline. If you guys need it, call it. I'm just trying to do awareness and let you know there's other people out there and you can survive this. You could be a survivor. Don't let them take your life away from you. Don't let your family suffer because your abuser is harming you. Because they suffer. They go through the pain knowing what you're going through. Speak out. This stop domestic violence. Remember the sign here. Always need help. You can't talk. This is what you got to do. Speak out with your hands. Hope you guys liked the beginning of the vlog. There's a part 2 coming. Take care and be safe and ask for help.